Bank of Bement, and Macon County Farm Bureau.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Mr. Adam Ibbotson, is the superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. Mr. Ibbotson, good to see you. How you doing?
Good morning, Seth. I'm great.
Thanks for coming out and talking with us. Always good to have you in studio. And I know e-learning up in down in Maroa is up for discussion next week at your school board meeting. Let's dive into e-learning. What's going on?
Yeah. So Maroa was an early adopter of e-learning even prior to COVID-19. And that's kind of what we all associate with e-learning is when that happened and the shutdown happened. But Maroa was an early adopter to that in 2019 and started their very first e-learning plan. So nothing new to Maroa-Forsyth School District. And then every 3 years, that e-learning plan has to be reevaluated. And when you renew that plan, there has to be a public hearing. That plan has to be presented, reviewed, public comment, and then the board has to take action based on that plan. So our 3-year plan was up, and we are up for renewal, and that hearing will occur Tuesday night prior to the regular board meeting. Starts at 6:30 at the library. E-learning is something that we all know the value of face-to-face, in-person instruction is always the best. I think the pandemic taught us that's the most important. However, e-learning provides an opportunity for us to keep school going, at least to keep maintaining, at least moving in. If we do have if something happens, whether it be a weather situation and we don't want people out on the roads, or whether it's a situation where, let's say, we have a gas leak or the water gets shut off for whatever reason, it's a way to continue on with school.
Didn't we have a few of those last year?
Before I got here, there was a gas or a water main that had an issue that they had to shut down. And then last year we had some e-learning days just for weather that we called along the way. And they were only for winter weather situations like that.
Gotcha. Okay, so with this e-learning plan, you mentioned 2019 Maroa jumps on board with it.
Yep.
2022, I assume, just renewed it as was. We're still in the COVID stuff.
Yep.
And okay, so now 2025, is there much to change with this plan?
I think as I've walked into e-learning, I came from a district that we did not do e-learning, and staff members there wanted e-learning because they wanted to see the continuance of education and have that calendar piece to be consistent to keep school rolling. So what I did is we really sat down with the administrative team, our teachers union, talked with our teachers and our leadership teams about, is this something that we want to continue to pursue? And our staff is in favor of continuing on with it. But I think we did a good job over the summer and the early part of the fall identifying what are the requirements that really are there. So there's two parts of learning that happen: synchronous and asynchronous. Asynchronous means that it can be something that you've already got prepared. It could be assignments that are posted and you work on at your own time. And then synchronous, there needs to be a piece of that, a chance for some live check-ins and some live instruction. So we hadn't really done a lot of that practicality-wise in the past. So we had worked with our teachers and staff about providing some synchronous learning opportunities, at least making them more robust than they were before.
What is synchronous learning?
That means that you and I, like if you're on a Zoom call and I get to interact live with my teacher.
Okay.
So, for example, at the high school and middle school, they will run a bell schedule. And there's a period of the day from about 10:30 to 11:30 that they'll run through all 8 classes, and their teachers will be live for that period to answer any questions. Do you have any questions on the assignments? They may post them on Google Classroom, but it's a live check-in. And the main reason for that live check-in is student attendance, make sure our kids are safe, make sure that they're accounted for, and to be able to clarify anything that they may not be able to answer otherwise.
Okay.
Elementary school is a little tougher. I think that's where the e-learning is the hardest, because a parent has to help provide that, or an older sibling has to provide that. So we've kind of staggered those times to where our elementary school kids are going to have that synchronous part. They're going to log into a morning meeting with their teacher and make sure that kids are safe in there. And then the teacher is going to be able to explain what they're doing for the day.
Okay.
Our elementary school kids have packets that go home with them. different days of activities, and those teachers will be able to check in with that meeting and explain the packet.
Okay.
They'll do that at the beginning of the day and the end of the day for our elementary school kids.
Got it.
We also know that within e-learning that technology doesn't always work. So we have plans if kids don't have access to technology that day, if the internet goes out, if they can't complete the assignment, if they can't log into the Google Meet. Most people have a cell phone. Most people have cellular service. They could get onto the Google Meet on an app on a phone to check in. If that doesn't work for families, we have grace. It's fine. We'll work on getting the assignment completed because it's important to do it. Teachers need to grade it, make it accountable. But if they can't complete it on the e-learning time, we've got some of those things built in.
You mentioned an interesting aspect that I hadn't thought of. I was curious about it before we got started, but I hadn't thought much about it before that, was the teachers union side of it. Why do they have to be involved in this process?
So in the contractual agreement, there's work hours that teachers are assigned in terms of their contractual workday. So within that contractual workday, we have to think about a memorandum of understanding. If we modify any of those working conditions, we've got to document that because it's outside of a normal teaching day.
Okay.
So, for example, our Maroa teachers at the middle school and high school, their work time is like 7:55 until I think it's 2:55, 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Our grade school starts later. So those teachers aren't at school until 8:05, and then they're done at 3:10, 3:15.
Okay.
So if everyone kind of runs on the same schedule, then we have to make sure and document that as a part of the working conditions to say, okay, everyone's contractual work time is going to be 8 to 2:55 and document that. And that the expectations are that you're online. Now, during that asynchronous time, they're expected to check email. They're expected to monitor Google Classroom, look at assessments, do planning.
So it's a work day.
It's a work day. We also have to build in contractually what planning time looks like for this because they in their contract, they have designated time to do planning.
Okay.
So that's a part of the contract and where that builds into the schedule.
Got it. So now, again, our guest in studio this morning, Mr. Adam Ibbotson with Maroa-Forsyth Schools, superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. On that student side of things, I'm sure there's a requirement for them. What's the student requirement? How do you lay that out to them as a part of this?
Yeah.
How about those things?
So I think going back to the student attendance part, we want kids to be checking in that they are in attendance, number one, that they are doing the work and that they're safe.
Okay.
So if students are not able to get onto that Google Meet, all they need to be able to do is they need to email the office, email or call the high school, middle school, grade school and say, hey, I can't get on. It's not possible for me to be on the Meet, and then they will document that and they'll help the kid make that up.
Okay.
But that's just like if you took your kid to a doctor's appointment and they weren't coming into school, you're required by law to call that kid in. And we're required as a school to make sure that kid's accounted for. Same thing in the e-learning part. If you're not able to do that, we'll help you make that up as you do it. Kids have assignments. We expect those assignments to be completed. We expect them to be graded by the teachers for accountability to where it's just not a day to do nothing. We want some sort of, now I understand that it's not the same as being in person. I get that. But we do want to try to keep things moving and that momentum going
right
during when we have those e-learning days.
Well, and that's such a pitfall with e-learning, right? Is that break in the momentum. You may have a day or a stretch where you have to take a day or two or even three. I mean, I know we had a few times or one time actually last year in Clinton where we had to have 3 days.
Yeah,
the kids weren't in school, and so you don't want to break that momentum. But at the same time, there's probably parents and even kids out there that are like, what's the point of this? I'm not in the classroom. It's a different setting. I have a hard time focusing if I'm not there. How about those things?
So I think for us, the trade-off with e-learning, and I will tell you as superintendent, just starting my second year, it takes some pressure off of me about deciding whether we're going to have school or not, just for the safety on the roads and what things look like. If it's iffy along the way, or I think it might be unsafe, knowing that we could continue on with some sort of education piece to check in that the kids are safe. That gives me a little comfort. I also think that as teachers and staff, we've got to make the assignments and we have to show that it's valuable to us. So for example, if I know I'm going to see my teacher on that morning meeting in 3rd grade and I'm going to check in at whatever time that is, I think it's 8 o'clock. Well, I want to be able to see my teacher and I want to be accountable for that. So I think we've got to make sure that it's accountable. We've got to make sure that the work is meaningful. And I think that's something that will continue to evolve in our e-learning plan. And we'll provide some professional development for that and provide some training for that and try to make that to where kids see value in it, parents see the value in it. I also understand too that it can be frustrating as a parent that, hey, I'm at where I still have to go to work,
Right.
and here's my kid on e-learning. What am I going to do? I understand that, but I think some of the things we've put into place, I think will help make it more meaningful if we do end up calling that e-learning day.
I mean, it's trade-offs, right?
It is.
Yeah. You've got.
And I would argue too, Seth, that if we took 5 emergency days and school drags on after Memorial Day, there's some challenges to that at the end of the school year when people are ready for summer and ready to be done, that sometimes the educational value at the end, even though you're in person, is sometimes tougher. So it's kind of a trade-off between the two. And that's why we collaboratively work with our teachers and our staff, and then we'll have the hearing and have that on Tuesday.
You know, one thing you've touched on a few times is the safety of a kid. And I wonder how a child, and I'm sure it's the minority, the big minority, but there are probably kids that are going home to an unsafe environment, whether it be abuse, whether it be neglect from a nourishment and a nutrition standpoint. How do you work? I don't want to say work with those kids. How do you handle that, or that aspect of it?
I think that if we knew that someone didn't check in on that particular morning meeting or in that classroom period, and we don't hear from those parents, or we don't hear from that caregiver, or we don't know what's happening, that's an alert for us that we need to trigger our safety nets, whether that is calls from the office, whether that is social workers, whether that's counselors. That's a way to say, hey, what's going on? Can we help you? Not I got you. You didn't check into the morning meeting. We're going to punish you and give you a 0 for this. It's more of, hey, I didn't see you got on. We didn't hear from you in the office. What can we do to help? I think that safety net, that's just kind of a little alarm bell to say, okay, Johnny didn't check in this morning. I don't know where they're at. We need to follow up and call. Well, then we don't hear. Well, then we need to follow up with the rest of our safety net to make sure students are safe. Just like we would on a regular school day. If you don't call our grade school office, you're getting a call from Mrs. Delsreedy, and she's trying to find out if you're okay. And if you're not okay, we're trying to help you.
Sure. I had to shorten your mic there, Mr. Ibbotson.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Let me shimmy with this a little bit. See if that works. That's still not working. We'll figure it out in the break. I'll tell you what, let's take a break on that note and wrap up that conversation when we come back with Mr. Adam Ibbotson, Superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools, my guest on the in studio, I should say. More to come with Mr. Ibbotson on the morning show.
WHOW.
B.org.
Hey sis, how much is $1 million? I don't know, but sounds like a lot. It is. Do you know there's almost 14 million kids? They don't have enough food? Connor, all kids should have the food they need to grow and play.
1 of 5 kids in America is food insecure, with a significant impact in rural areas. You can help. The National Association of Farm Broadcasting invites you to help the nearly 14 million kids facing hunger in America. Go to nafbhunger.com and help end hunger.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat lower at this hour. December corn down 2.5, 4.15 3/4. March corn down 3 1/4, 4.30 3/4, and May corn 4.39 3/4. Down 3. November beans down a dime, 10.12 1/4. January beans down a dime, 10.28 1/2. March beans 10.43, down 9 1/4. December wheat 5.02 3/4, down 3
Here's Clinton Save-A-Lot owner Dave Jackson on why you should shop his store.
Well thought decisions on our pricing and try to make sure that we have the right retail on the right items so that you don't have to go anywhere else. It's just such a fallacy that people think they have to drive out of town and put up with what they have to put up with in these stores, park 2,000 feet from the door and just go through that whole process.
Dave and his staff works hard to save you up to 40% on your food bill every day at your Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
hope to see you soon. Nate Sams here, Vice President at Longview Community Bank in Clinton. Everyone has something they do best. At Longview Community Bank, our roots run deep. We invest in our local communities, from first homes to small business dreams, acres of crops, or pastures of livestock to put food on our tables. We provide the loans that help our farmers, friends, and neighbors grow and thrive. Invest in your community bank with Longview. Click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Remember FDIC.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW. WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest in studio, Mr. Adam Ibbotson, Superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. And Mr. Ibbotson, we left off before some technical difficulties last segment, talking about protections in place for kids that may not have a safe home environment as it relates to e-learning. And you made note to me that that really wasn't something in place in your old e-learning plans, and you wanted to update. How about that?
No, I just think that accountability piece and making sure we know the kids are safe, the kids are taken care of, and if they're not able to participate or they're not able to get onto that synchronous or that live piece, that starts triggering our safety nets. Okay, we're going to call you. Are you safe? Like, what's going on? Just like you would if a kid doesn't show up to school on Tuesday after Columbus Day and they don't report by a certain time period, we start calling, and we're going to make sure we hear from that parent. And if we don't, we're going to start our resource pieces, whether it be social work, guidance counselors, whatever else, safety checks, whatever, to make sure those kids are there. So that's an important part of the e-learning piece for me, is to make sure we have accountability for attendance, make sure that kids are accountable, that we know that they are present and they are trying to do their best. And if they can't, you just got to call the office just like you would on a regular day and say, hey, we can't complete the e-learning today because we don't have the internet. There's no one here to we don't know what to do with this, whatever that reason would be. And then we'll help you make it up when you get back.
Got it. You know, a lot of folks may be listening, Mr. Ibbotson, and think, gosh, this is way more involved than what my school's doing. Did you have a template you went off of for this? Are there other schools doing something like this?
Really, in Macon County, a lot of our schools are utilizing e-learning along the way. Warrensburg uses it. Monticello in Piatt County, DeLand Weldon in Piatt County. Decatur has used it in the past for e-learning. To this level? Yes, I would say that our plan, I've modeled it after some of the other superintendents in our areas to try to have ours to be equivalent. I looked at Muhammad Seymour's plan. I looked at several around us to try to model it after that, and really and I think our plan could get more robust. At this point, I think this is the logical next step to see how we do with some more of the synchronous learning.
Gotcha. Interesting stuff. So that comes up next week, right?
Yep. Tuesday, regular school board meeting, hearing first at 6:30 for e-learning, and then we will move into the regular meeting on October the 14th at 6:30 afterwards.
All right. So next week, very good. And your kids are off until then, right?
Yeah, we've had these 2 weeks here. We've done a lot of work here with parent-teacher conferences. Our middle school and high school have parent-teacher conferences this last week, and then our grade school teachers will have them next week. They're in 2 evenings that are happening to make them accessible for parents. So it's really important. That's one of the great things about Maroa-Forsyth, is that our parents are very involved. They are very vested in their kids' education. We get them they show up, they come communicate with teachers and really try to create that partnership. So a couple of evenings, and we kind of spread it out. So if you have a kiddo that's at middle school, high school, and then you've got kids at the grade school, you don't have to be split between those time periods. We split it up over a couple of weeks. And then we did a Teachers Institute yesterday at the school. So we had a variety of speakers come in and present to our staff and our paraprofessionals, all the way from TRS and talking about teachers' retirement to social emotional learning. We're starting to analyze some of those IAR and SAT scores. We'll talk a lot more about that in my November talk with you, with all those designations that come out at the end of October. We had information. We had people come down and talk about best practices for teaching PE from University High School in Bloomington Normal. So we had about 100 staff members attend yesterday, professional development, and we wrapped up the day with Jill Reedy, who is the Regional Office of Education School Superintendent. She came and presented about reunification and about school safety. I would say our ROE here in ROE 39 is really a leader, not only regionally, but also statewide, about how we're promoting student safety. They've done a lot of work with that, a lot of training with law enforcement and what that looks like. And we had a great turnout in terms of being there at the training, and then her presentation to reunification. Shane Brandel used to be the chief of police in Decatur. He is now working for the Regional Office of Education as a school safety consultant. So he has been a great help to come work with schools about safety plans and about how we're making sure we're accountable for that, and how to keep all of our staff and students safe.
Nice. Very good. So a lot of good information, it sounds
It
like.
was great. It was a great day of training. I think our staff they left, number one, something to grow from, but also having information and then knowing kind of what the next steps are in the district for that. I think that was really good.
Yeah, sometimes with those things, it feels like you're drinking from a fire hose. You want to do it all at once, right?
Yeah. And I think the district has done a really good job previous to me about laying the groundwork for this. And I think the ROE has kind of evolved over time and thinking about all the safety pieces in place. And compared to, Sangamon County and Menard County, I feel like that we're kind of in a better spot over here in Macon and Piatt with what our plan is as a region. So
Sure.
really encouraging day. And then our kids were off yesterday. Kids are off today. And then kids are off Monday for Columbus Day. So like a little mini fall break happening for them here in October and about to the end of the first quarter.
Evidently, man, I can't believe it's already that time. Very good. Mr. Ibbotson, I know projects. You drive by Maroa, you see the folks on the roof. I don't know if they're still up there, but how about those things?
Well, it's one of those things that we're almost done with the roof project at the high school with refurbishing. The roofs have went from black to white, so they have a new covering on the top of them for a 30-year warranty worth of work. They're buttoning up the last part of trim work on it. They're at the grade school doing the same thing on those rubber roofs to put the additional coating on top of them. They should be done in the next 2 weeks. So that project, our concession stand project, has pretty well wrapped up. They're doing the final punch list of things there and finalizing and buttoning all that up. And that's really added to just the quality and the cleanliness of the whole process. It looks really good there at the concession stand. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
And then we're still working on some of our playground at the grade school, trying to finish up some drainage issues. So hopefully getting most of that stuff finished up and buttoned up before we hit to the fall and winter weather season. But yeah, really looking forward to having those finished up. And we've had a great experience with that.
Sure. Very good. Well, Mr. Ibbotson, on that note, a couple minutes left. You've got a school board meeting. You mentioned next Tuesday. Anything coming up with that other than the e-learning stuff?
Just at the school board meeting, we'll kind of wrap up the e-learning. We've got some board policies that we're going to look and update to that we've been working on with our policy committee.
Okay.
And then we'll be talking about kind of turning the page from fall to winter here. So our fall sports seasons are about ready to wrap up. With everyone. So we have postseason play getting ready to start for tennis, postseason play to start for volleyball, cross country. Our golf has already had postseason experience there. So we're about ready to make that turn into the end of fall, and we'll see postseasons happen. And excited for that.
Sure.
Musical season for the junior high, middle school will be coming up here this fall. So it's crazy to think we're at the end of the first quarter, about ready to turn into that end of fall, into the first part of winter.
Can't believe it. Mr. Ibbotson, budget time. How did the budget turn out for Maroa this year?
Really good. We're expecting positive fund balances in all the funds except for transportation. I talked last time about the transportation reimbursement being cut from the state, being prorated, meaning you're not going to get your full reimbursement.
Sure.
That's a battle across the state. I am very thankful for evidence-based funding, that new funding formula that's been here for 7 years, that promotes a consistent stream of funding. I talked last time about the different tiers of funding and a majority of ours is really with property taxes.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if we got into budget or not. So I think we did.
The crazy part of the budget is the budget's passed, it's been submitted, but now we're starting on the tax levy. So that's the next thing coming up.
Very good. Mr. Adam Ibbotson, Superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools, our guest in studio. Network News on the way.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHO.